When I heard that Pixar was going to be making Toy Story 4, I'll admit, I was really worried. The first 3 Toy Story movies are, in my opinion, some of the greatest animated family movies I've ever seen. Toy Story 3 ended on what I considered a perfect end. Andy, now grown up, gives his beloved childhood toys to a new kid who will go on to play with them and give them all the love they deserve. So going into Toy Story 4, I was worried. I had no doubt that the movie would be good. I mean, Pixar rarely turns in a bad movie. But I was afraid that this would end up undoing the beautiful end of Toy Story 3. Well, luckily, my fears were quelled. Not only is Toy Story 4 a beautifully animated film that shows just how far computer animation has come since the original, but it caps off the story with one of our main heroes in a very touching way. Let's look at the story. Woody, Buzz, and all the other toys are now happily living with Bonnie, their new kid. Woody, voiced again by Tom Hanks, is often left out of playtime with the other toys and is starting to feel useless. So, when Bonnie goes to her kindergarten orientation, Woody tags along to make sure she has a toy with her to give her comfort. While there, Bonnie creates a new toy out of a spork and some other pieces of trash. The toy, named Forky, voiced by Tony Hale, doesn't want to be a toy, however, and decides he wants to be trash instead. Woody, realizing how much Forky means to Bonnie, takes it upon himself to make sure nothing happens to him. But when Bonnie and her family go on a road trip with Bonnie bringing the toys along, Forky escapes, leaving Woody to find him and accompany him back to Bonnie and the others who are spending some time at a local carnival where the toys meet some familiar faces. So what did I like about this movie? Firstly, the animation. This movie is the best looking Toy Story movie I've ever seen. Every shot is absolutely gorgeous to look at. The colors leap off the screen, the textures are extremely realistic, and the movements of the characters are realistic and fluid. Toy Story 4 definitely gets an A+ for the animation. It will keep your attention the entire film. Secondly, I love Woody's story in this movie. True, some beats we've seen before in the previous movies, but here his character takes a step forward in his journey that I won't spoil here, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Third, we get to see Bo Peep again, which is cool seeing as how she was only mentioned in a line of dialogue in Toy Story 3. She really got the short end of the stick in that one. In this one, she's been living on her own as her own toy for a while and has a much more independent demeanor about her. Fourth, the twist with the villain is extremely refreshing. I won't give anything away, but let's just say that the villain of this movie has more about them than meets the eye. So, is there anything bad in this movie? Like, really, is there anything? It's Toy Story, how could there be anything bad? Well, there's nothing really bad, but there are a few gripes that I have. First, a lot of the toys we got to know and love from the previous movies don't get a lot of screen time. In Toy Story 3, every character got a good balanced amount of screen time and something to do that justified them being in the film. In this one though, characters like Jessie, Mr. Potato Head, Rex, and Ham kinda get sidelined for a story more centered around Woody. Now this isn't really a bad thing per se, as I love Woody and his story is done very well, but you still kinda wish the others had something more to do. Second, Buzz Lightyear's side story is a little weak when compared to Woody's. Tim Allen returns to voice Buzz, and while he does a fantastic job, his story is kind of a one-note joke rather than a developing thread. The upside of this is that he does get a very touching scene that I love. Again, I can't go into a lot of spoilers here because I really think you should see the movie, but just know that he does have one of the most touching moments in the film. Third, there's no real threat in this movie. Now don't get me wrong, there's a villain and there's conflict, but if you've seen the movie, you know that the level of danger is really lessened from the previous film. But again though, it works okay because this story isn't meant to be as serious or as, dare I say, dangerous as something like Toy Story 3. It's meant to be simpler and more heartfelt rather than more action-oriented. Fourth, a lot of the new characters they introduce are funny but not very memorable. They're good, but you kind of forget about them after the movie, which is a shame because they got some really big stars to voice them like Jordan Peele, Keegan-Michael Key, Carl Weathers, and even Keanu Reeves. Again though, none of them are bad. They're just not as memorable as characters like Lotso Huggin' Bear from Toy Story 3 or Sid from the first Toy Story. So those are my grievances, but none of them detract from what is, in all other aspects, a very heartwarming, charming family film. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's definitely worth it. I had worries going into it, but they were definitely done away with after watching this. I give Toy Story 4 4 stars out of 5. It's a fantastic movie, very well animated, and really hits you right in the nostalgia feels. Go see Toy Story 4 today and get ready for another journey to infinity and beyond.